Hello beautiful booktubers, I'm Becky Bookworm and I'm here today to do the Netflix tag. The original tag was done by A Darker Shade of Whitney, who I will link below, and it's 12 questions based all around the different categories that you've got in Netflix. So I've got my laptop on my knee, so if I keep staring down it's because I'm looking at the question. I've got a terrible memory, so by the time I've looked up I've probably forgot it. Number 1, recently watched. This is the last book you finished reading. The last book I finished reading was Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. That's part of a Vampire Chronicles read-along that I'm doing with a couple of other people over on Goodreads. I will link that down below. And we're just reading through all of the Anne Rice Chronicles. Queen of the Damned is the third one in that flow, line, pile, series of books. And I really enjoyed it. It's such a good story. I think I've seen the film too many times and I wasn't really like, it's an alright film as a standalone, but the story's not great. But I absolutely loved the Queen of the Damned book story. It goes into the characters so much more, why people do certain things, and the backstories of so many people that were barely mentioned in the film. Can't believe that I let the film kind of push out the book, because I read the book when I was a kid. And I like the fact that I'd seen the film too many times. It kind of pushed out the fact that the Queen of the Damned book was tons better and had loads of stuff in it. Totally forgot. Never mind. Number 2, top picks. A book or books that you've been recently recommended based on what you've read. That would be the Peter Grant series, starting with The Rivers of London. My friend Rin recommended those to me to the point where she actually gifted me most of the series to read. I waited about a year, I think it sat on my shelf, and then I finally got around to reading it and I absolutely bloody loved it. If you haven't read it and you're into sort of, it's kind of like the darker side of magical realism, I really enjoyed it. I won't bore you by going through everything, but if you have a look on Goodreads you'll be able to see what it's about. Just dead enjoyable. Number 3, recently added, which is the last book you bought. And the last book I bought is, can you see that? Wicked Bugs by Amy Stewart. I can't remember who I saw talking about this. For those that don't know, I've been obsessed with all things creepy crawly since I was a kid, and now I'm a grown up. I've got my own 5-foot vivarium full of all sorts of creepy crawlies that I love. I've got sun beetles, which I love watching them wander around. I'll put a picture here so you can see what they look like. I've got things like everyday things like isopods, mealworms and superworms or morio worms and little beetles that they change into. Nothing too fancy, springtails to keep it all ticking over, so it's what's known as a bioactive setup. And they're just a pleasure to watch, so I love things like that. So I was pleased to get this book, which basically it goes into all sorts of creepy crawlies, and I think there's a Wicked Plants book as well, which I really want. Number 4, popular on Netflix. Books that everyone knows about, 2 you've read and 2 you haven't read or have no interest in reading. So the 2 I've read, I would say Illuminae by J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman, and the Saga graphic novels. I haven't written down who those are by, but they are all over BookTube, and with good reason. They're absolutely amazing. 2 that I haven't read is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard and Heartless by Marissa Mayer. I haven't read both of those, but I do want to. I've got Truth Witch and Wind Witch sitting on my bookshelf. I just need to get around to reading them, and I might treat myself to Heartless if I can find a cheap second-hand copy somewhere, because I am minding my pennies at the moment. Number 5, Comedies, a funny book. I really struggled with this one. I was looking back at all the stuff I've read thinking I must read funny stuff all the time, but I seem to read quite dark stuff. But I did see I've got Rat Queens on there, and for anyone that doesn't know what Rat Queens is, it's a series of graphic novels. I don't know how to describe them. It's a group of women and they're all friends, and there's like a big troll-like woman, there's a magician type woman, there's a tiny pixie type woman, sort of they're from a magical realm, and they just kick ass and give no fucks, and it's really good. And the banter in there is pretty funny, and some of the stuff they get up to, and they drink too much and take drugs and party and all that sort of thing. So yeah, Rat Queens. Dramas. A character who is a drama queen or king. I found this hard to narrow down, but I would say any of the gods in The Wicked and the Divine. If anybody's not read those, that is it the Pantheon? Basically, at a certain point in time, people will realise something happens to them and they turn into gods, and they have, from then on, they have 3 years to live, and they live that life like being one of the most famous pop stars in the world, and they have special powers. But they're all complete drama queens. It does make for a very entertaining reading. Number 7, animated, a book with cartoons on the cover. I chose Frey by Joss Whedon. It has got a beautiful cover. I mean, it's all drawn really well, but I really like the cover. I found it really striking. Number 8, Watch It Again, a book or series that you want to reread. I went for the obvious one. I was going to say The Vampire Chronicles, but I'm in the middle of a reread of them at the minute, so I don't think it really counts. But I would say Harry Potter. I haven't read them all straight through. I know there is a read-along happening at the minute through Pottermore to celebrate the 20 years, but I'm reading too many things and doing too many things to do that, so maybe once I've finished The Vampire Chronicles I'll start Harry Potter. Documentaries, a non-fiction book that you'd recommend to everyone. I would recommend, it was a tough one this, I want to recommend 2, which I know is breaking the rules, but I would say The Gender Games by Juno Dawson, which is a fantastic non-fiction novel by her, she's a trans lady. She muses on what it was like to grow up and think you were gay and then end up realising you're trans, and about her experiences, and then also about other people's experiences and thoughts, and all things to do with gender, not just to do with her and being trans. It's about the whole thing, and I listened to the audiobook of that and it was really good. I enjoyed it. Also, The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. I really love this, and for those that don't know, I absolutely love octopuses and sea creatures, but octopuses in particular. I have a big octopus tattooed down my side because I absolutely love them. But The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery is, she basically gets to know several different octopuses throughout their life. She goes and spends time with them and meets them, and she talks a lot about how we interact with them and how they live and what they can and can't do, and they're just amazing creatures, and it made me feel really emotionally attached to all these octopuses that she spent time with. Number 10, Action and Adventure, an action-packed book. I would say the Saga series is non-stop action from the first issue up to number 7 we're up to now. It's just non-stop. It's just like go, 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 go. And I know it's technically not a book, it's 7 trade copies, I think they're called. It's just fucking amazing. If you haven't read them yet, get them read. What are you doing with your time? New release is a book that has just come out or will be coming out that you're excited for. I said, what is it called? The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman, and I think I'm probably not the only one as they're quite popular. It's been so long since the other books, but I think it's released in October, so I might have to reread the previous 3 and get myself up to speed because it's been a while since I've read them. And number 12, which is Max, Tag Some People. I'm going to tag the restricted section, literary diversions, the book Brood, books with wings, and books with B. So that was the Netflix book tag. If you want to do the tag and I haven't tagged you, then tag You're It. Feel free to do the tag. Nobody tagged me, I just wanted to do it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe, and I'll be back in another few days with another video. Big hugs. Bye! Hello, beautiful booktube. Oh, just spat everywhere.